Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we're going over a huge list of upcoming games for 2023. There's major titles dropping in the next few months on every VR platform, and it's a great time to be a VR gamer. Now, there's over 30 titles on today's list, and I'm definitely not including everything, as I just wanted to focus on some of the bigger games and make sure to include titles that appeal to every type of gamer out there. Now, there are of course links and timestamps to each game, and their platforms will be listed, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by my sponsor, Kiwi Design. They carry accessories for all of your VR needs, from Quest to Elite straps, battery packs, upgradable controller straps, replacement facial inserts, cable management systems, and I'm very happy to announce their brand new all-in-one RGB stand. Your headset and controllers magnetically connect. There's plenty of options for the RGB lighting and an indicator that lets you know when your headset and controllers are fully charged. There's a link to Kiwi down in the description if you want to check out their products, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo311 for 5% off and to help support this channel. Okay, so we're ordering today's list chronologically, and the first few months of 2023 are pretty stacked with plenty of confirmed dates. But as we move into the third and fourth quarters of 2023, those release windows get bigger and bigger, so I'll do my best to give you some accurate release dates. Now, all of today's information has been provided by developers, Meta, and Steam store pages, but dates are always subject to change. And before we get started, I just want to know down in the comments, what title are you most pumped for? Now, our first upcoming game is Primal Hunt. If you're a fan of the classic first-person shooter Turok, Primal Hunt should be right up your alley. Since you've become an apex predator, it's time to go after deadlier and deadlier prey, and what's more intimidating than a pack of dinosaurs? Well, how about dinosaurs packing future technology? That's right, not only will you be able to update your gear with plenty of future tech, but it looks like the enemies are getting some too. Now, to help put the odds back in your favor, you'll be able to bring some backup, as this is a co-op shooter. Now, I'm definitely intrigued for this game and want to jump in with my friends, but I can't help from feeling like it's a watered down version of our next title, Horizon Call of the Mountain. This is a PlayStation VR 2 launch title set in the Horizon Zero Dawn universe, featuring stunning graphics, an ample amount of climbing, and robotic creature battles. Now, the Horizon series has easily become one of my favorite sci-fi settings of the past 10 years. As a PlayStation VR 2 launch title that utilizes one of their biggest IPs, I'm expecting Sony to impress us with this one. No more tech demos here, and they're going to show us what their new technology can truly do. But if sci-fi is not your style and you're looking for something with a lighter theme, also launching on the PlayStation VR 2 is Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue. Sneaking around the neighborhood is definitely going to be a lot scarier now that it's in VR. So if you're a fan of the original game or enjoy that cat and mouse style gameplay, Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue looks like the right choice for you. Now, while the overall gameplay mechanics may be anxiety-inducing, it still looks a bit whimsical, and I'm sure there's a fun side to it also. But if you want to lean more into the horror theme, we have the Dark Pictures Switchback. This roller coaster ride from hell will have you fighting a wide array of horror-themed creatures. To make matters even worse, you better not blink, because this game utilizes eye-tracking technology, and every time you close your eyes, the enemy will move to engage you. Now, the pre-order edition includes some special items, but I think it should come with a pair of diapers. Now, there's actually plenty of other release titles coming to the PlayStation VR 2, like Resident Evil Village, and it was recently announced that Gran Turismo 7 will be playable in VR, but I wanted to keep this video focused on new games, so I won't be going over any of those titles. Now, our last big release for February would be Drop Dead: The Cabin. This is an extremely difficult co-op shooter set in the Drop Dead universe. There's gameplay similar to Call of Duty Zombies, but it's much more cartoon themed with a wider array of enemies. You'll be collecting resources to unlock new areas and collect new weapons and upgrades, all while keeping a generator running and waiting for a helicopter extraction. I've spent a few hours in the beta and it's a really fun time and definitely offers up some serious challenge and replayability. Now, before we move into March, we have a puzzle exploration title from the creators of Myst and Abduction VR. Firmament was originally funded by Kickstarter and has been in development for years and seen multiple delays, but it's currently listed as releasing in early 2023, and hopefully in the near future we'll be able to get lost in this beautiful new world that they've created. Now, if you wanted to experience the gangster-filled early 1900s or jump right into the TV series Peaky Blinders, well, you'll be able to do that with The King's Ransom. This game takes place towards the end of the TV series, and you'll get to experience all of its iconic characters up close and personal. And don't worry about imposter actors, as the original TV cast has been motion captured and lent their voices to this interactive story. So go ahead and join the criminal underground, gain the Shelby's trust, and join the Peaky Blinders gang. But if you prefer something with more action, we're getting a full Resident Evil 4 remake. Now, this is coming to the PlayStation 5, but it will include some VR gameplay modes. Now, Sony was a bit cryptic here, so it doesn't sound like we're getting the whole game in VR, but maybe we'll get something like a playable Mercenaries option. Now, this looks like a bit of a kick in the teeth to the Quest 2, because the graphics between the Quest 2 version and this new remake are absolutely night and day. But if you rather a game that's unique, new, and made for VR, we have my most anticipated VR title, Vertigo 2. Explore a secret, creature-filled facility that feels like it's something out of Rick and Morty, but gives you gameplay similar to the original Half-Life. The scope of this game looks absolutely huge, with plenty of handcrafted exciting moments, a giant battlefield level where you'll be forced to pick a side, and finally some epic boss fights. The original Vertigo remains one of my favorite VR games, and this one just looks so much better. But this type of zaniness isn't for everyone, and that's why there's realistic military sims like Ghost of Tabor. Are you looking for gameplay like Escape from Tarkov? Well then, this is your game. Set in a post-apocalyptic 2044, you're going to be fighting for survival. The game's playable in both single and multiplayer modes, strives for ultra realism, removing items like virtual HUDs, and with elements like carrying too much will slow your character down. So if you're looking for something even grittier than Onward, this game should be right up your alley. But sometimes you just want some hardcore, fast-paced action, and that's why Everslaught Invasion is giving us a bit of Diablo meets Doom. Currently available in early access on PC, I absolutely love the fast-paced, brutal combat. Now the Invasion release that's coming with it soon is bringing a class system and 2-player co-op. So now you could grapple hook across the map together, slice and dice your enemies, or shotgun them to pieces. Now if you need even more action, we have the roguelite shooter, The Light Brigade. With gameplay that reminds me of In Death Unchained, but featuring both realistic weapons and magical abilities, we'll soon be battling against the forces of darkness. In this atmospheric roguelike shooter, you'll be able to unlock new weapons, spells, and classes, and hopefully restore the light to this world. But if you prefer PvP action, we have a new hero shooter called X8 on the way. X8 has you taking control of unique characters, each with their own special abilities and weapons. You'll compete in an online 5v5 bomb planting gameplay mode, and you'll have to rely on strategy and your team's unique abilities to take home the win. Currently, the only hero shooter in VR is Larcenauts, so there's definitely some room for this genre, but I'm just hoping it makes some good use of VR mechanics. Now, another unique title that's coming is Guardians Frontlines. This game is like Halo, Starship Troopers, and a real-time strategy title mixed in one. It features both a unique array of gameplay mechanics and modes. You'll collect resources that you can use to deploy defenses or AI troops that you'll have control over. You'll be unlocking unique weapons over time, piloting vehicles, and competing in both co-op and PvP modes. The game is already a hidden gem in its current version, and I'm looking forward to its new Frontlines release. Now, another title that I'm looking forward to is Hellsweeper. This is another roguelite that features fast-paced, brutal combat, but also has a strong emphasis on VR mechanics. From the same developers that gave us Sorrento, their new title will have us fighting demonic creatures, performing flips, wall running, and casting spells with motion controls. I've already played some of the early demos, and it's a fantastically brutal time that I can't wait to get my hands on the full version. Speaking of full versions, years ago we got the absolutely fantastic horror-themed shooter Propagation VR. Now that was a small free experience, but the same studio is back and ready to deliver us a full game with Propagation Paradise Hotel. This is a survival horror adventure with a gripping storyline, dark environments to explore, and terrifying encounters. Now I know a lot of people are sick of VR zombie games, but you have to admit this one looks really good. But if zombies aren't scary enough for you, why not take a crack at demonic entities with the Exorcist Legion VR Sin? This is a full sequel to the Exorcist Legion VR, and if you thought that original title was too scary, you don't have to worry because this time you could bring a friend along. Now we're yet to truly see any gameplay from this title, and it has already been delayed, but we should get to experience it in the near future and collectively wet our pants together. But horror games are definitely not for everyone, so let's jump back to an arcadey action-themed shooter with Crossfire Sierra Squad. This is a PlayStation VR exclusive that features 4-player co-op action and cranks the intensity up to 11. At first glance, I thought this was a new Killzone, or maybe even an army of 2. So if that's the type of game you're looking for, put this one on your wish list. Now our next game is the last title with a confirmed release window, and everything beyond this point remains up in the air. That game is Stranger Things VR, currently listed as late 2023. In this title, you actually play as the villain Vecna and travel throughout the Upside Down, gaining powers. While the graphics don't initially look like anything to brag about, that cel-shaded style usually works really well in VR, and I'm really intrigued for the overall gameplay and storyline. And I'm not gonna lie, playing as the villain sounds like a really cool experience. Okay, so we're moving into a to be determined category. These games have been confirmed for 2023, but we don't have any specific release window, and these games could drop anytime throughout this year. The first is the VR version of the retro shooter Amid Evil. Fast-paced Quake-like action set in a dark fantasy world, with 7 distinct episodes featuring completely different environments and enemies, endless hordes of evil to dispatch with magical weapons, sprawling non-linear levels filled with secrets, and brutal AI programmed to come after you from multiple different angles. So if you like retro shooters or you're looking for something like Doom in VR, go check out Amid Evil. Now stepping back to co-op, we have the 4-person shooter Ghostbusters VR Rise of the Ghost Lord. Using an array of different tools, you'll have to track, battle, and trap an array of different ghosts. This will take place throughout a story-driven campaign, and you and up to 3 of your friends will be unlocking new gear along the way. So if you're looking for something like a lighthearted After the Fall with more of a storyline, then I look forward to meeting you guys in Rise of the Ghost Lord. Now, a VR game that people have been dreaming about for years is Attack on Titan, and luckily one has been confirmed, but we really haven't seen anything besides the title card. Now, there's currently an unofficial Attack on Titan game out there, and I really have no idea how this one will stack up against it. I'm just hoping we get some truly intense and immersive combat, so we don't disappoint the millions of fans out there. Another exciting game announcement that we haven't seen any gameplay for yet is Behemoth. From Skydance Interactive, the studio that gave us The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, we're getting a gritty survival title that focuses on physics-based melee combat, where you'll be battling deadly warriors and behemoth-like creatures as you travel through a frozen wasteland. Now this sounds right up my alley, and with how satisfying combat is in The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, I'm really looking forward to this game. Now unless our next titles receive some serious updates, I'm not as excited for it, but it still shows some great promise. Into the Darkness plans to give us Boneworks-like combat inside of a story-driven campaign. Now I played an early demo over a year ago, and the graphics look great, the storyline was intriguing, but the combat and performance just were not where it needed to be yet. Now given the amount of time that has transpired, this title can be significantly better than what we originally experienced. So for right now, I'll remain cautiously optimistic. But I'm throwing caution to the wind for Undead Citadel, another ultra-violent, physics-based combat title that has you hacking apart skeletons, zombies, and other undead creatures. There's a 10-level story mode where you'll uncover the origins of the plague, solve puzzles, and search for hidden items. You can also battle in an endless horde mode, utilizing 60 different hand-to-hand weapons, bows and other ranged attacks, plus potions that will give you special abilities. So as you can expect, violence, gore, and lots of combat is definitely what I'm looking for. But a title that's completely different and I'm still looking forward to is Yupitergrad 2. This sequel still has you grappling hook platforming through treacherous zero-G environments, but now you'll also get to pull out some weapons and battle some enemies. The original title had a nice sense of humor, a few clever puzzles, and lots of fast-paced fun and brutal deaths, so I'm just expecting more of the same. And another sequel that I'm sure people are excited for is Firewall Ultra. This tactical shooter features both PvP and PvE multiplayer missions, and it's a follow-up to one of VR's most beloved shooters. The power of the PlayStation 5 is definitely on display, as this game looks quite beautiful, and this game is near the top of my ultimate hype list. Okay, so that was all of the to-be-determined titles that we should see in 2023, but there's a bunch more in this in-development, unknown, rumored MIA category. First on the list comes from Studio Camouflage, which gave us Iron Man VR, and they're now supposedly working on a Batman VR. Now, unless this title has already been underway for quite some time, it's unlikely we'll see it in 2023, but after the quality of game we saw from Iron Man on PlayStation VR in 2022 and the 2022 Quest 2 port, my full support is behind Camouflage, and I think they're gonna do the Dark Knight justice. Now in the in development category, we have 2 games from Joyway, and that's their ninja parkour title Red Flowers and their high-flying frisbee throwing PvP title Stack. Now both games look quite intriguing and there's demo versions available on App Lab, but Joyway never seems to finish any of their existing projects before moving on to something new, and case in point is the single player mode for Stride, which has been years in waiting now. Now our next title is in development and I'm extremely pumped for it because it comes from a studio that was once a huge name in the VR industry. Survios gave us some fantastic early games like Raw Data, Sprint Vector, and Creed Rise to Glory, but they never really focused development on the Quest 2 and haven't done much in the VR industry lately. Well, lucky for us, they are working on a licensed Aliens game, which utilizes the Unreal 5 engine and is set between the original Alien and Alien films. And since it's being developed for PC, console, and VR, you could expect a higher budget than your typical VR game. So unless they skimp on that VR support, I have some really high hopes for this title. My hopes are also slowly increasing for Assassin's Creed Nexus. Now we did get some leaks for this game early last year, and Ubisoft was going through some drama, so things were not looking fantastic. But I have spoken to some beta testers who said the game is coming along nicely, and fans of this series should definitely enjoy the game. Now I think it's pretty likely we could see it in 2023, but I'm still a bit skeptical of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Andreas, another title that was announced a really long time ago, and then no one has said anything since. I'm not sure if Meta is waiting for the Quest 3 to drop this, or things are going sideways with this project, but hopefully we get some updates soon. And speaking of updates, I'd love to hear anything on Blunt Force. This was a beautifully looking time-traveling World War II shooter, which released a demo forever ago, and we haven't really heard anything since. The trailer looked like a combination of Wanderer and a classic Call of Duty game, and I was really pumped when this game was originally announced. But as of right now, it's just MIA, and our final game isn't MIA, but feels like it's been in permanent development, and that's Lo-Fi. Now this is no longer just a VR title, and the developer is also releasing on console, PC, and even the Steam Deck. So I'm sure this change has delayed things a bit, but hopefully this will help him make a lot more money for all the effort he's put in. Okay everybody, that was today's list of big titles releasing in 2023. Now did I miss any of them? Let me know down in the comments right now. Which game are you most pumped for? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. As always, I am Mateo311, and I'll see you guys on next time.